بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى تابعيهم ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وبعد رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمن بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربي زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. My dear respected elders, brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want you all to imagine for just a moment that you lived in a world where you never had to worry about working or traveling or about your provisions. You didn't have to worry about waking up early in the morning to ensure that you got to work in time and you beat traffic so that you could do the task at hand, complete your job, so at the end of the week you could receive a paycheck in order to make ends meet, to ensure a roof over your family's head, and for you to live the lifestyle that you dream to. You didn't have to worry about that. Imagine you didn't have to worry about TSA and getting through security in time in order to get to your flight before they close the gate 20 minutes before the flight. And imagine that you could eat what you want, when you want, and the best of food, and you had no worries about it. I'm sure your response would be to me that that's a fantasy. That's unrealistic, and the most I'll say is it's something that we could think of in the future. But just if I were to tell you, what if I were to tell you that this is nothing futuristic, nor is this a fantasy, rather this was a reality for some. I.e., if we look back in the annals of history, we will find there were people who never had to work and toil hard day and night in order to make ends meet. That there were people that would travel far and wide when they wanted, where they wanted, without fear of delay or being stopped or threatened. And that there were people that received not just food, but the best of food. And this has happened. When did it happen? Because based on what I know, and the technology that we're pursuing in this world today, in the 21st century, is as Dubai just announced a few weeks ago, that they're embarking on a 5-year project to create the Hyperloop. The Hyperloop will be a means of transportation taking you 1,200 kilometers an hour. You could get from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in merely 12 minutes. But we turn to the Holy Quran and we find that this technology existed as a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in times that passed us. We turn to the Holy Quran, Surah number 34, verse number 15, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةً جَنَّتَانِ عَنْ يَمِينٍ وَشِمَالٍ كُلُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ وَاشْكُرُوا لَهُ بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. To respond to that fantasy or that thought that we just envisioned, that I don't have to go to work and I don't have to worry about maintaining my livelihood, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, verily in the people of Saba is a sign and a lesson for you all. What was the sign and lesson? The sign was they had lush gardens that provided them all the necessity and the means that they needed to maintain a decent lifestyle. It was on their right and on their left. I.e., they had provisions and goodness for the moment in time and even to save for tomorrow and for other times. And Allah is saying, all I'm telling you is, كُلُوا مِن رِزْقِ رَبِّكُمْ. Eat, benefit, but be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's given you a beautiful, peaceful, tranquil town and a forgiving Lord. There were people that lived before us and they didn't have to work. These are the same people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in verse number 19. وَجَعَلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ وَبَيْنَ الْقُرَى الَّتِي بَارَكْنَا فِيهَا قُرًى ظَاهِرَةً وَقَدَّرْنَا فِيهَا السَّيْرَ سِيرُوا فِيهَا لَيَالِيَ وَأَيَّامًا آمِنِينَ. In those days, in the deserts, people would not travel at night because that was a time that the pirates of the desert would attack them and they would rob them and they would even kill them or enslave them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, verily the people of Saba were such that we made between them and the lands that they would want to pursue. It was in front of their eyes. We shortened the distance of their travel. If you are right now sitting in Miami and you intend to go to San Francisco, we know what the protocol and procedure is. Book a flight, get to the airport 3 hours before, get through security, board the flight, and travel 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever else it would be. For them, they would be standing in Miami and looking at San Francisco and merely take a few steps and they would be there. Say subhanallah. This is Allah's gift, and Allah's telling us in the Quran, they never had to worry about a livelihood, nor did they have to worry about traveling. They could travel in the light of day or in the darkness of night. We turn to the people of Musa alayhi salam, Surah number 2, verse number 57, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَظَلَّلْنَا عَلَيْهِمُ الْغَمَامِ وَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَى كُلُوا مِن طَيِّبَاتِ مَا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ. Allah is saying that we gave you a type of safety, that wherever they traveled or walked, the clouds would shade them. If they were walking in the scorching heat of the desert in the middle of the day, they never had to worry about UV protection or an umbrella or shade or air condition. The clouds would shade them. And we sent down upon them man and salwa, food from heaven. They were given food from heaven. Let this sink in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, eat from the good provisions that your Lord gave to you. So what I've just presented to you is not a fantasy. It was a reality. And it happened not in the future, it happened in times that passed us. People that lived a life with no worries. They lived a life where they could go where they want, when they want. There were people that were shaded from above and they got food and sustenance from above. Gourmet food. Food that people in this world pay hundreds of dollars to get a small portion in a high-end restaurant. Allah sent them down the birds of heaven. Allah sent down the sweets of heaven. Consider yourself in that position. Embrace these blessings in your life. Now I ask you a question. Just say that you hated not to worry about them. You would wake up in the morning hating the fact that life was so easy, that you wish life was difficult. You woke up in the morning wishing that your journeys could be long, treacherous, tiresome journeys. You hated the fact that it was so easy. Or you woke up in the morning wishing that the food, which was above 7 stars, would not be what it was and you'd have something different. You see, I'm silly, right? We'd be silly to do that. We would be silly to consider substituting these blessings for anything else because we feel at this moment those are the best blessings. But that's exactly what they did. Not only did they ask for something different, they asked for something worse. The people of Musa alayhi salam that were getting food from heaven, what did they say? وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى. Remember when you said to Musa, لَن نَصْبِرَ عَلَى طَعَامٍ وَاحِدٍ. Musa, this same food from heaven every day, we're sick and tired of it. فَادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ. Ask your Lord. Ask your Lord what? We want beef steak? We want Kobe steaks? What do you want? We want lentils. We want cucumbers, herbs, garlic, onions. I.e., the food from heaven is no good. We're asking for something worse. Musa was dumbfounded. أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير. Well, let me understand you here. You're asking me to tell Allah to give you what's worse than what you already have? They said, yeah, that's what we want. What about the people of Sabah? What did they say? They turned to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and said, فَقَالُوا رَبَّنَا بَاعِدْ بَيْنَ أَسْفَارِنَا. O Allah, running around the earth 20 times in the span of a few minutes, it's no good for us. O Allah, lengthen our journeys. Distant our destination from us. Make us feel the fatigue of journey. Na'udhu billah min dhalik. How could someone that have everything turn to Allah and say, we want what's worse than this? The question we need to ask, why did they do this? When Allah presents these incidents and these accounts in the Holy Quran, it's for you and I to reflect, why did they do this? And we find there's two core reasons. Number one, they became negligent. They became negligent due to their sense of complacency. We have it all. What else do we need? They took what Allah gifted them for granted. That's what Allah says in the Holy Quran. وَمَا ظَلَمُونَا وَلَكِنْ كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ. We didn't do wrong to them. They did wrong to themselves. For those people of Musa alayhi salam, وَضُرِبَتْ عَلَيْهِمُ الذِّلَّةُ وَالْمَسْكَنَةُ وَبَاءُوا بِغَضَبٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ كَانُوا يَكْفُرُونَ بِآيَاتِ اللَّهِ. They called upon the anger of Allah by doing such. Why? Because they rejected and denied Allah's signs. This resulted in them being ungrateful and transgressors. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran over and over again. وَلَا تَكْفُرُوا وَلَا تَكْفُرُوا. Do not reject what Allah has given you. And another reason why they did this, in addition to their negligence, is what we call the cocoon effect. That they were amongst their own and they felt that that was everything and they needed nothing else. Look at what Allah says about the people of Ad. فَقَالُوا مَنْ أَشَدُّ مِنَّا قُوَّةً. Who's more stronger than us? They didn't travel the earth to see the differences in the people. Due to the fact that they didn't travel, they didn't witness, they didn't interact, they felt they were the best. Musa alayhi salam was on that same path. When Musa alayhi salam was asked, who's the most knowledgeable person, O Musa alayhi salam? Say alayhi salam. He's a prophet of Allah. He's ulul azim. He said, on the basis that he's Nabiullah, he's Kalimullah, he said, I am. He didn't he didn't say anything wrong. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, no. There is someone else who knows more than you. His name is, what was his name? Khidr alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't bring Khidr to him. He told him, go find Khidr. Break out of the cocoon and understand the world is more than what you see it to be. Allah didn't tell him the GPS location where he could find him. He told him, go to Majma' al-Bahrain, where the two seas meet, and you'll find him somewhere. That's why in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala states to us, Siru fil ard. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Aqimu salah, atu zakah. All the commands that we acknowledge today, remember there's one more command, and that is travel the earth. Travel the earth for whatever purpose you want to travel it and see the richness in Allah's creation. See the richness in diversity. Understand the blessings that you have been blessed with. But unfortunately, my dear friends, today, history is now repeating itself in front of our own very eyes. We had everything here in America. There's never been a time in your life, I feel, that you had to worry if your child would get to school in the morning. There's never been a time that we felt scared that our child wouldn't return home from school in the evening. That we would go to work and tell our wife or our husband, if I don't return home tonight, then forgive me. That we could go to the corner store to pick up some milk and someone would maybe kill us. These were thoughts that we never had. Why? Because we became complacent with what we were provided and blessed with in this country, and we took it for granted. We didn't travel the earth to see that people, that their basic liberties are not upheld. That they cannot live a life which we consider to be a normal life. And today, everything that we had and what we care for has now begun to be pulled and yanked from us. How can we address this predicament before we lose everything? We turn to a great chapter in the Holy Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us, informing us, educating us. Do you know what your responsibility is? إِنَّا عَرَضْنَا الْأَمَانَةَ عَلَى السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ وَالْجِبَالِ. When your Allah and my Allah spent 4 out of 6 days. How many? I can't hear you. How many? 4 out of 6 days. The 6 days He created the entire universe. وَإِنَّا لَمُوسِعُونَ. And Allah is saying we're constantly expanding this universe. So no satellite, no technology will reach the end of it. Because Allah's ahead of the game. But this everything that we know and the much more that we don't know, Allah created in 6 days. But this earth, Allah spent 4 of those 6 days here. Subhanallah. He designed it, He decorated it, placed the mountains, the rivers, the gardens. Fi arba'ati ayyam. How many days? 4 days. Now someone has to take responsibility of this all to ensure that what it was created for, it is utilized, not abused. So that it could be a source of benefit, not harm. So that humanity that comes on this earth could prosper, not fall backwards. Inna aradna al-amana. This trust and responsibility, we presented the keys of it. Ala samawat, to the heavens. You don't see the heavens going into elections and changing parties and seats because it said, Allah, no way. As vast as this heaven is above us, it said to Allah, no, we don't want that trust. وَالْأَرْضِ, the earth that's spread underneath our feet, the earth that can give way in a moment's notice and could swallow entire towns and streets and neighborhoods in. It's as powerful as it is, it's Allah, we don't want it. وَالْجِبَالِ, Allah says we turn to the mountains as glorious and tremendous that they look in our sight, that we see them with a sense of awe. Look at these beautiful mountains. وَالْجِبَالِ, Allah said you take the responsibility. The mountains said, oh Allah, we don't want that responsibility. فَأَبَيْنَ أَن يَحْمِلْنَهَا, they rejected it. They said no, we don't want it. وَأَشْفَقَنَ مِنْهَا, they showed a sense of reservation. Oh Allah, we won't be able to fulfill it. وَحَمَلَهَا الْإِنسَانِ, but the humanity, mankind, said, oh Allah, give it to us. We're going to take it. We're going to take it. So you have been entrusted by Allah with a great trust, the greatest trust, to ensure. If you're a Muslim, if I'm a Muslim, know this very clear. It's your religious duty, it's your moral duty, it's your civic duty, it's your human duty to ensure this earth is a better place for yourself and your children tomorrow. If not, don't stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tomorrow hoping that you will be pardoned and forgiven for some of your religion, discarding the entirety of your religion. Today we are not fulfilling this trust. We see in front of our eyes it's falling. Why are we falling for? Why? The 2 subsequent verses tell us the traits that we will fall into, which will result in us failing to fulfill this trust. What are those 2 verses? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا لَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ آذَوْا مُوسَى فَبَرَّأَهُ اللَّهُ مِمَّا قَالُوا وَكَانَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ وَجِيهًا. In Bukhari and Muslim, it is recorded by Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala that the people of Bani Israel were very shameless. Shameful people. Shameless people. And they're very immodest and immoral people. They used to bathe in water together, naked. And Musa alayhi salam was a person of great modesty. And he used to cover himself up with due vigilance. So they said, you know why Musa alayhi salam does this? Is because he's got a problem with his private part. It's in hadith. He's got some problem downstairs. Because of that, he's ashamed to show it to us. One day Musa alayhi salam went to take a bath in the lake. He placed his clothing on a rock. And while he was taking a bath, when he got out from there, the rock picked up his clothes and the rock started to run. Rasulullah sallallahu is saying sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is telling us that Musa alayhi salam ran behind the rock. And he said, "Oh rock, my clothing! Oh rock, my clothing!" And this rock ran until it came in the midst of all the people. And here is Musa alayhi salam standing naked in front of them. And the rock stopped there. And the people looked at him and said, "Oh, astaghfirullah. We used to make fun of him. There's nothing wrong with him." Musa alayhi salam took his staff and he beat the stone. Rasulullah says you could see 6 or 8 markings on this stone by Musa alayhi salam beating it with his staff. فَبَرَّأَهُ اللَّهُ مِمَّا قَالُوا. Allah made His point clear in front of humanity that there was nothing. Allah presented the evidence. But what is it for you and I? Today, the Muslim community has become so personal with one another. We are each other's necks because of our religious affiliation or how we perceive the religion to be. We are our own enemies. We are taking each other down. The outsiders are not going to take us down. We are taking ourselves down. لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى. As Bani Israel became personal with their prophet, don't become personal with each other. And do not become personal in the religion. And do not become personal with your institutions and your religious leaders. Because that level of spite and hate and vengeance is venomous. It will kill you. Today we see that happening. One sign that we are failing this trust. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَقُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. The second point, the verse after this. O believers, fear Allah and speak upright. Be upright in your affairs. For too long we've been trying to figure out where we fit in. Who will accept us? How will we be accepted? Do you want to know the answer? Be upright, straight, confident, and clear with your Allah. When we become clear with Allah, don't worry about humanity. Don't worry about the creation. He's promised to take care of it. But if you cannot make it with one, you will not make it with 7 billion. I promise you that. Today we're making great efforts as organizations and institutions to go out to the world, to reach out and explain to them what Islam is, to let them know we're not terrorists, to let them know our goals are aligned with your goals. We want a life where we could raise children, where our children could be benefited from the opportunities at hand, where we could retire, and where we could just relax. Everyone has those same thoughts and goals and dreams. But why has it become so difficult? Because of these two, we have become defective. We become personal. And number 2, we cannot stand upright. If we were to do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising us, يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ وَمَنْ يُطِعِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عظيمة. You want true success. It's not who wins the election or who won the election. Your success is that Allah will make you such that your deeds will be so great. You will do little. I serve Allah, you'll do a little. But it will resonate throughout the world. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ. You will make one talk, the whole world will change your perception. Why? Because the قُلُوبُ الْعِبَادِ بَيْنَ عُصْبَعَيْنِ مِنْ بَيْنَ أَصَابِعِ الرَّحْمَنِ. The hearts of the creation are between the fingers of Allah. He will turn them in your favor or against you how He wants. What makes that decision? How we act. There's a story of a rock and a tree. I have some time here, so I'm going to push this one in. There was a rock on the earth, sitting there. Didn't move, didn't do anything. It was a place where people would sit down, sometimes, put their foot on and tie their shoes. Next to him, there was a tree, a very beautiful, lush tree that would give people shade, comfort, fruits. One day, the owner of the land came with a worker. And he said to the worker, tomorrow morning your job is to cut down this tree. So at nighttime, this rock spoke. It said, hello tree, I want to ask you a question. I was here before you came. I saw you grow in front of my own eyes. While dogs urinated on me and insects crawled on me, people used to hover around you. They used to write their names on you. They used to sit under you and have picnics. And you would give them you would give them fruits and shade and everything else. Why is it that you're being removed and I'm not being removed? Make sense? Everyone with me, yes or no?
Yes.
This thing is just sitting there. It's a nuisance on the earth, but you're giving so much benefit. The tree sighed and it said, oh my friend rock, you just enumerated all the goods that you see in me. But there's one wrong in me that overshadows all my goods. Yes, you are active Samaritans in your community. You are serving the location that you reside in. You're offering free services to people. You're helping people through your businesses, through your practices. You're doing a great job. But the tree says there's one deficiency in me that overshadows all my good. The rock said, what is that? And the tree said, I go where the wind goes. When the wind blows this way, I'm on this side. When the wind blows that way, I'm on that side. I have no sense of stability. But you are stable, rooted, and grounded. That's why you're here, and that's why I'm going. Allah is saying, قُولُوا قَوْلًا سَدِيدًا. Know your religion so that you could present your religion, so that you could stand proud as a Muslim because of your religion. And you're not going to waver, you're not going to change, you're not going to hide, you're not going to fear, because Allah has promised when you focus solely on yourself, hoping to make yourself a better person, you're going to help make society a better society. That's going to make the country a better country. That's going to make the world a better world. And then you could stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inshallah, tomorrow and say, oh Allah, I did my part. But when we become personal, we spew personal vengeance against each other because of cultural differences, racial differences, religious differences. You're right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're going to hell, na'udhu billah, and I'm the only person going to heaven. لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى. Allah said, don't do that. Those who did it before, they lost. Allah will get involved and Allah will prove who's right. يُصْلِحْ لَكُمْ أَعْمَالَكُمْ وَيَغْفِرْ لَكُمْ ذُنُوبَكُمْ. When you leave the masjid and you engage in your world, lust, desires, sins may occur. They will occur. You know why? Because shaitan will do his best to break you. He will do his best to ensure that you fail. But because your pursuit is bigger than yourself, Allah says He will forgive you. Because you continue your pursuit. So we have been entrusted, my dear brothers and sisters, and now it's due time for us to understand how can we get this job done. Number one, as I said, we need to fix these two things. And number 3 is we need to reinforce the values of what we had. Previous nations failed because they never reinforced the values within themselves or others. I give you a quick example. Musa went up on the mountain for how many days? 40 days. He's a prophet of God. He went for 40 days to get the book. When he came back down, his people, his followers are worshiping a calf. What are you doing? Well, you left us, so we found another God. When we don't reinforce the values of goodness, we will lose, our children will lose, our society will lose. That's why it's imperative that we reinforce these good values within ourselves over and over again. For history has told us, إِنَّ فِرْعَوْنَ عَلَى فِي الْأَرْضِ وَجَعَلَ أَهْلَهَا شِيَعًا يَسْتَضْعِفُ طَائِفَةٌ مِّنْهُمْ يُذَبِّحُ أَبْنَاءَهُمْ وَيَسْتَحْيِي نِسَاءَهُمْ إِنَّهُ كَانَ مِنَ الْمُفْسِدِينَ. That verily the Pharaoh exalted himself in the land, made its people into sects, weakening and oppressing a group of them from their children, killing their sons, letting their female lives. Verily, as Allah says, he was amongst the greatest criminals, oppressors, and tyrants. When we lose, when you lose, when I lose, the world loses. That's how great that responsibility is on you. Now you could say to me, well, Imam, I never took up that responsibility, so I don't need to care about it. If someone in your family dies and leaves behind $2 million, you're not going to say, well, I never worked for it, I'm not going to take it. You take it gladly. Why? Because you feel that's your right. Our lineage of humanity took this responsibility. It's our duty to fulfill that duty. It's our duty to fulfill that responsibility. How will we do it? I end with 5 points. Number 1, it's not too late. It's the right time. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came at a time where there was a loss of everything. People lost hope. They lost understanding. They lost track. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came and he provided that. The time we're living in right now is the perfect time to bring about change. Number 2, وَلَا تَهِنُوا وَلَا تَحْزَنُوا وَأَنْتُمُ الْأَعْلَوْنَ إِن كُنْتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ. Don't become weak. Don't become sad. You will be great if you cling on to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who do we need to please? Who do we need to please? Who do we need to please? Allah. When we please Allah, Allah will please us. Number 3, shamelessness has to be rooted out from my life. For too long we're blaming the world. Look at society. Look at those people. Look at that group. Look at those. Stop touching and pointing at the world. I need to rectify my life. I need to root out shamelessness, as Allah described in that first verse. The shamelessness in the society of Musa a.s. didn't make him shameless. It made him shameful. As Rasulullah says, إِذَا لَمْ تَسْتَحْيِ فَاسْنَعْ مَا شِئْتَ. When there is no haya, there's no shame, people will do what they want to do. Number 4, it is time now we spend our money, our energy, our life on making the world a better place. It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a snap of the finger. And this is not Disneyland where Tinkerbell's going to come and throw some pixie dust and it's going to happen. It's time you and I have to take up this effort as our duty. Our duty as Muslims and Samaritans of this country. And lastly, we have to work towards making the world all-inclusive. Rasulullah sallallahu, he says in a hadith that really touched my heart when I used to study, that you're like the jarad and the qumma, you're like the flies of the fire. They're so obsessed. They're flying closer and closer into it. And I'm sitting here trying to pull you back. He didn't discriminate on the race, the religion, the type, the lifestyle. He said, all of you are my ummah. I love you all. I care for you all. I wish I met my brothers. Sahaba said, Alasna ikhwanaka ya Rasulullah. Aren't we your brothers? He said, you're my sahaba. My brothers are the one who are going to come. They never saw me, but they will have faith in me. They will follow me and they'll accept me and embrace me. So we have a task to make the world a better place. So these are the 5 steps. And I close with these words. Let us stop blaming Allah for everything. After this election, a lot of people are tweeting and posting on Facebook, قُلْ لَن يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Only whatever Allah wants happens to us. Don't say that. Allah will do what He wants based on what you do for what you want. When we're not doing, we're going to blame Allah. Our sense of inaction is for us to blame Allah for not doing what He's supposed to do. Allah will do what we're doing. If we're doing good, Allah will send down good. If we're doing bad, Allah will send down bad. If we're doing nothing, Allah's not going to do anything in our favor. So let's not preach tawakkul until we tie the camel. It is time to tie the camel. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unite the ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala restore love, harmony, peace, and prosperity in our land and in the entire ummah and the entire world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be lights and beacons of hope in a world of darkness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow our intentions to be His will. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make His will our actions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our actions His pleasure. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen.